Hello everybody and welcome, and only two teams remain NBL 23. The Sydney Kings, the 1 seed, and the Breakers, the 2 seed, and what a story that has been. Hello wherever you might be. I've just been alerted. It's a crossover, and when I'm not here, the overtime doesn't exist. Now that I'm back, it does. Damon Lauer in the house, Liam Santamaria. 2 teams remain. Now we've got time for a little deep breath. Hello to you, Damon.
Hello, big fella. Welcome back. What a season. And here we are. And then there was 2. Congratulations to both teams. And now let's talk about who's going to come out and get it done.
Now, before I let you loose, let's have a look at this, because this is how it all plays out. We do take a deep breath. We have the fever window, of course. Game 1, Friday the 3rd of March in Sydney. And if you're unaware, it goes back and forth when it comes to home court advantage. So plenty of frequent flyer points coming up for these teams over the next couple of weeks. But Friday the 3rd of March, Kudos Bank Arena, the number 1 seed holder. We'll get to the Kings very shortly, but let's start with the New Zealand Breakers, because they are the story. So much has been made of the last 2 years. COVID affected so much of the world. Professional sporting teams did what was to be, in the past, considered impossible on the road, and now they're in a grand final. This is one of the best sporting stories we'll ever see.
Cinderella personified from the bottom to the top, and they did it with a new team, new coach. Modi comes in early, and you talk about Liam getting the imports right. The 3 imports came in. You got the killer in Barry Brown. You got the workhorse in Derek Parton. And then you got the consummate professional scoring guy in Brantley. And then to stir all that up, then you add Will McDowell White at the point, man. I'm telling you, it's going to take some beating, but they earned it.
It's easy to forget, even though we talked about it a lot at the time, but what the Breakers went through over the previous 2 years was unprecedented, unrivaled even in professional sporting history. So to go from that to bounce back now, it goes back to the off-season. Modi Mayor said, I want to bring back the Breakers culture, the New Zealand flavour to this organisation. So he brought back guys like Tom Vodanovic and Isaiah Liafa, tough, rugged Kiwi guys. And then, of course, he got the import trio perfectly right, the best import trio in the league. And he has coached it beautifully throughout the season. And that today is what you play all season for. Why they fought so hard with Cairns to get that top 2 finish so you can have a Game 3 of a semi-final series at home. And it's a fabulous story, and I can't wait for this matchup in the grand final.
To win big finals, you know, to win championships, you need your superstars to stand up in big games. And you mentioned Brown. They were a little sluggish. I'm not sure if it was the moment early on, but Tasmania came out and really handled the moment the first couple of minutes the best. Brown comes off the bench. Whole dynamics of the game changes. Parton and Brantley were great. Didn't even really get great statistical game from, say, Will McDowell White, but he's in such total control. That is the thing. We all love Will McDowell White. You look at his stats, you're like, he's got 2-4. And he's in total control, and then the stars just stand up. You can find excuses for Tassie with no Majette, similar with Cairns with a couple of their guys, but your superstars stand up, and that's why these 2 teams are in a grand final series.
There's no column on the stat sheet for poise. It should be, because Will McDowell White would be over. He would just fill that thing
How would you measure it?
You just got to work. How does this guy handle the moment?
So do you have a poised statistician who just sits there and just sums up every moment?
You get a point guard trio to sit there and go, there it is, look at that, stat that.
We can do that.
We can do it. But look, Barry Brown Jr. has been consistent. A lot of imports throughout the year for every team. They have their moments, right? Barry Brown is a point a minute from the start of the season to the end of the season. He knows exactly who he is. He comes off the bench. Could easily start. He's got no problem with it. He's a team guy, but his role is to get buckets. And just like that one there, I mean, daggers. He has a sense of the moment.
Make no mistake, that was an all-timer from Barry Brown today. An all-time level performance. The team was in all kinds of trouble at the beginning of the ball game while he was chilling on the bench waiting for his opportunity. And like a caged animal, he just waited for the opportunity to get out there on the floor. And he went berserk. 30-plus points in a Game 3 decider to get your team to the championship series. That's epic stuff from Barry Brown Jr.
And those 5 points he had there, if you didn't notice, the score was 5 points the difference halfway through the 4th. He stood up, he delivers. New Zealand into a grand final. A very quick break. On the other side of it, we'll break down how the Kings got there.
welcome to At The Line. My name is Simon Legg. We're here to talk about the NBA, and I've decided to dress down for the occasion because I'm joined by Josh Jenkins, who has... You look rather fetchy in that canary yellow number.
Thank you. Well, I had a fair few emails come to the joshjenkins@sportsbet.com complaining about what I've been wearing and the lack of attention to detail. So I thought I'd throw on the canary, the custard, whatever you want to call it, the mild yellow. Here I am.
It looks really good. I'm sorry that I dressed down, but I'm just sort of used to you doing that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about our fashion, although we do every week. We're here to talk about the NBA, and specifically the first item we want to speak about is the Phoenix Suns, because last week they made a little-known trade for a guy called Kevin Durant, and the market went crazy. Both the championship market, the Western Conference market. I want you to talk us through these moves of the trade.
Well, whenever you acquire a two-time champ, a two-time Finals MVP, an NBA MVP, who is still arguably at the peak of his powers, the market needs to react swiftly. But he hasn't taken the floor for the Suns as yet. We don't know when we'll see Kevin Durant on the floor, but have a look at that. $20 for the title into $6. The Western Conference as well. They're fourth, about fourth in the standings at the moment, 850 to 340. But you've got to react swiftly. The traders are on the money there. You've got to be able to wind things in a little bit because he is a superstar. They gave up a lot to get him, but he is a superstar. Make no mistake about it.
Some savvy punters who got on that. Now, speaking of giving up a lot to get him, we want to talk about the balance of their roster now because they did give up a little bit. Talk us through how they could look when he comes back.
Well, in the playoffs, you skinny down your squad. So, you know, this time of the year, there's still, 30, 40 games to go. You want to use 10 or 11 guys. But once the business end of the season starts to come around, you've got to skinny it down. So look at this for a 5 or a 6. So Chris Paul, we know how good he is, and he can just sit back and facilitate. Devin Booker, a superstar, a genuine superstar. Durant speaks for himself, got to get healthy. DeAndre Ayton and Aussie Jock Landale, he'll play a part as well. So I love their 6 or 7 players. I know they gave up a bit, but their 6 or 7 is better than anyone else's.
And now there was a quote has done the rounds as well from Kevin Durant, who was talking on, I guess, the expectations, which has just come up on the screen now. Love to get your views on this. I loved it personally.
He's spot on. He's one of the best players that's ever played the game. The pressure is on, but they are good enough to handle it. They weren't without him, remember. But with him, they are good enough to handle it. So I love that from KD.
And obviously, it's going to be very exciting to see what happens when he comes out. We're not too sure when he's back, but we absolutely think that the Suns are going to be flying. Look, Josh, thanks for your time. Thanks for your assistance here. If you want to take on any of the selections we've talked about, please make sure you do so responsibly.
You know the score. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly.
The number 1 seed going in will push to 3 games. There's some frustration on Friday night, but there was nothing but joyous celebration. That probably continues right now as the Sydney Kings split it open the fourth quarter and go back-to-back into a grand final series to defend their title. Do we lose this in a couple of... How does this work on the set?
I think it needs to go to whoever wins the title.
Someone has to take it, right?
That's how it works, isn't it?
I'll have to get something to replace it. And it was a huge win. They nearly got 2 weeks off. Is there a little party tonight? You've been in this situation without the break. What did they do, the Kings?
You celebrate.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to repeat. It's hard to get... They had to target their back for the entire season. And I love what Xavier Cook said. Xavier said, we the best team in the league. We will play whoever. That's how champions talk. That's how he wants all the smoke. He says, "I back my team. We can walk the walk and talk the talk." So they'll have a quiet celebration and then they just get into recovery.
You called the game. It was tight. Cairns had moments of opportunities, but the Kings in the end, the depth and the fourth quarter. And Walton was in control of that game for the majority of it as well from the point guard perspective. The best team wins the series, but Cairns were brilliant.
Derek Walton, Cairns were brilliant and had a great season. So did Tassie, who we didn't talk about before. Derek Walton Jr. was fantastic. 9 assists, I think, was really, really great for his team. The key to the win was from here's the Walton Jr. clips. We get a little look at what he was able to do off the bounce.
That's an outstanding
today because the Taipans were doing everything they could defensively, and they're a tough defensive unit. But when Walton Jr. gets into this mojo at the offensive end, both scoring the basketball and setting up his teammates, the Kings become really, really tough to beat. The numbers don't lie. When he throws big dime numbers, the Kings win those games because everybody gets involved. But over and above Walton Jr., Justin Simon for me today was the key to the win. And in the off-season, the Kings, they wanted to stretch big, so they got Suarez, and their final piece to their puzzle was a defensive-minded wing. I was over at Summer League, and they were saying, we just got to find the right guy. He was the perfect piece, and it came to fruition today in a really big way.
Vasiljevic didn't have a great series, found a little bit of his mojo today, so here you think it only get better. Xavier Cook's the MVP. This is a wonderful series. This is a series of the two best teams. New Zealand got stunted a little bit with the COVID situation around Christmas. They recover. This is going to be unreal. We got 45,000 predictions to make until game one in a couple of weeks' time, but you can go first, Damon. What do you got?
I got to go Kings in 5. But I would like to see New Zealand, but then I would like to see Zabe go back-to-back. I don't know.
Oh, there it is.
I think the Breakers in 5. Ooh. I'm just envisaging New Zealand, a spectacular win on the road. It was pandemonium, absolute scenes this afternoon, but I think the Breakers in 5.
Okay. Well, there you go. Two best teams are left. We can't wait for it. Friday week. Until then, see ya.